Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for watching another video. Today we're going to be checking out the Sig P365 and comparing it to the Taurus G3C. We're going to go with best versus budget. Let's check them out. Let's begin talking about the sights that come on the Taurus. So this is a very simple setup here. You got a squared out, blacked out rear, and just a nice simple painted dot there in the front. So very simple arrangement, but it's got a lot of advantages over the Sig. Number one, they're Glock compatible. So you can see how it's just pushed in there. If you got the Glock tool, it'll just push out there. And that's going to give you access to tons and tons of aftermarket sights. If you want to get taller sights so you can co-witness with your red dot, you can. Night sights, just a lot of more flexibility because they're Glock compatible. So that's a huge advantage over the Sig. Advantage number two, the Taurus's rear sight is not part of the optics plate, meaning that you can take whatever red dot you want off and on, and that rear sight is going to be there for your backup. Now, this might not seem like a huge deal, but consider this. The Sig literally has no rear sight when you remove the plate. The plate and the rear sight are one unit, and if you buy the one with the Romeo Zero, they don't give you the plate. So if you didn't want to use a red dot, you got to go out and purchase that plate separately. Second thing is, what if you don't want to use the Romeo Zero? There is a sight that's notched out on the back of the Romeo Zero, but if you have another brand, now you legitimately have no rear sight. So if your dot goes down, you're kind of stuck. So the flexibility is still going to be advantage Taurus. And yet another advantage of the Taurus is it gives you 4 different plates for mounting just about every micro red dot you could possibly want onto the Taurus. Compared to the Sig, you're stuck with one footprint pattern. So again, advantage flexibility goes to Taurus. Now I will say and give the advantage to Sig on this front sight. That ring around there is so bright with that tritium front. Sig does have the advantage with that, but if you get into trouble and you have no rear sight, be in a lot of trouble. Now both of these pistols have rear cocking serrations and front cocking serrations, and both of them have beautiful beveling right in the front, so when you're holstering it doesn't snag on anything. Both of them have accessory rails. Both of these have very nice sized trigger guards, and they both feature a nice undercut right here under the trigger guard, so you get a little bit more space for your grip to fit on the grip of the gun. And I gotta say though, for me the Sig feels a little bit more comfortable, and you gotta check out the thickness difference between these two. I'm gonna flip them over. Man, that Taurus is one chunky monkey. Man, look at that. And then Taurus does have a little curve cut out here in the front, so some people kind of like to sneak their hand around and hold it like this when they shoot, so you might find that a little bit more comfortable. But both of these have decent sized trigger guards. Alright, let's talk about external safeties. This Sig I have doesn't have any external safeties, and I love the way it looks. It's clean, the lines flow through it, it's very simplistic. You can get these with a thumb safety if you would like, but I'm just in love with the way that looks. Now the Taurus has a thumb safety here, and it's very easy to work. It's not stiff at all, so if you like thumb safeties, there's one for you. And it also has a trigger safety. Alright, let's have a look at the Taurus magazine release. Nice and flush. Show you from the side there. Nice job from the top. And for those that don't know, the important thing is when you're grabbing onto a pistol, well, at least magazine releases, what happens is when you press it, the button will pop out on that side. So you got to make sure that none of your fingers are getting jammed in there. So for me, I can just grab onto this thing and punch it out with one hand. I don't have to really change my grip in order to do that. And that's going to make it very easy for you to do one-handed reloads, right? You punch out and just reload without having to move around. Now with the Sig, as much as I love this design, that triangular design, I think it flows very nicely with the lines of the gun, and it sits so flush. Beautiful design. But the problem for me is, again, when that button pops out on this side, my middle finger totally covers it. So I can't just punch it out. I gotta adjust a little bit and get it to pop out. So for some people, if you're trying to decide between these two, go into the store, grip onto it, and see what magazine release design will be right for you. And grip angle wise, they're pretty similar as to the angle that both of them have. Okay, similar grip angles. But I will say, if you just look at the tang area here on the Taurus, It's very shallow compared to that nice deep angle you get with this extended beaver tail. Like when I get the web of my hand in there, it feels nice and supported, and this beaver tail really gives me support to try to really help control that muzzle flip on a shorter pistol like this. When I grip onto the Taurus, it's so shallow in there, it just feels like my hand wants to dig in there a little bit more. It's not that it's uncomfortable, it just doesn't feel as supportive as the Sig. Alright, let's have a look at the thickness of the grips here. And they're about the same thickness, really. There's a massive difference, though, in how it feels in the hand because of the deeper beaver tail. The Sig is much more comfortable. They have nice palm swells right in that back area. And that really fills up that fatty portion of your hand. But man, does that Sig feel so good. Fits like a glove. Here's a look at the Taurus. Oh man, I got also too, the texturing on this Taurus is like 1,000,000 times more aggressive than the one that's on the Sig. And I know you guys aren't going to be able to pick it up, or maybe you can, but you can just see. That's just my skin from gripping onto it. Look at the difference in the texture. Also, some people might be turned on by this, but the Sig does have a slightly flared out magwell to help you insert the magazine, while the Taurus does not. So bigger opening there on the bottom. Now the Taurus does come with 3 12-round magazines, while the Sig only comes with 2. And you got to remember, Sig magazines are kind of hard to find, and they're about 50 bucks a piece, while the Taurus ones are about 30 bucks a piece, and you can find these just about anywhere. And before weighing these guys here, let's have a look at the thickness of these slides. The Sig is going to be longer because it's the XL version. All right, you can see the difference in the length in the slide. But look how thick that Taurus is. So again, just like the trigger guard, Taurus, chunky monkey. And weight-wise, the Sig with the red dot coming in at 1 pound, 4.2 ounces. And the Taurus with no dot on it, with its 12-round magazine, coming in at 1 pound, 6.1 ounces. So advantage goes to the Sig. Alright, let's talk about these triggers now. And I know it's really subjective. It's going to depend on what you like. But let's have a closer look at these. Now, the Taurus trigger does have double strike capability, meaning that if you squeeze off a round, it doesn't go off. You can pound it down one more time. And then if that doesn't work, you can kick it out. Now, some people are going to love it. Some people don't want to worry about training with it. But the Taurus does have that capability, while the Sig does not. Alright, now traditionally, in my opinion, Taurus striker fire pistols have had pretty mushy triggers, but this one is pretty good. Now, don't freak out. There's a lot of take up till you hit the wall. Check that out, right? It's so much take up, but it's nice and smooth. It's not gritty. And once you get it here, it is crisp. There is no creep in this trigger once you hit that wall. Check it out. I'm going to go real slow. That's it. Okay. Nice reset. And then back on it. Yeah, it's just the weight of the trigger that's breaking right there. Let's do one more. Okay, here's the take up again. So nice. Okay, here's the reset. And back on it. Man, that's real nice. Okay, let's check out the Sig. Alright, so I'm really conflicted about the trigger in the 365XL. I love this flat trigger face, and when you combine it with a break angle of 90 degrees, I could literally from here to here, it breaks. That flat trigger face really gives you nice leverage when you're trying to get it on that 90 degree, and it pulls as a result a lot lighter. The issue I have is just in the creep in the trigger. So here we go. There's that 90 degree wall. A little bit of pull. A little bit of creep in there, and then it breaks. Okay, have a look at the reset right here. Bang. Okay, back on it. Back on it. Ooh, that was a lot of creep in that one. And then when it breaks, it's not very clean. It's such a soft, muted feeling trigger. You know, maybe I'm just not used to it. Let's have one more look. Okay, again, right at the 90 degree. A little bit of creep. Got it. Okay, one more. Out. Perfect. All right, let's weigh them. All right, first pull on the Taurus. 5 pounds, 10 ounces. Okay, that's 1. We're going to do 3. So here's the second pull coming up here. And it's coming in at 5 pounds, 15.5 ounces. Ooh, creeping up there to 6. Can we keep it under 6 pounds? Last pull. 5 pounds, 14 ounces. I would consider that just 6 pounds, but it's not a bad trigger. All right, having a look at the Sig here. First trigger pull. Woo, like I told you. 4 pounds, 12.6 ounces. And I just think it's because it's got so much leverage with that 90-degree break angle that it's just pulling really light. Here's a second pull. 4 pounds, 8.6 ounces. So unbelievable. All right, last pull for the Sig. Coming in at 4 pounds, 8.6 ounces. Mushy, but lighter. And the last thing to consider is the price difference between the Taurus and the Sig. So the Taurus, max $400. The Sig without the red dot on there, probably anywhere between $600 and $650. So anywhere between $200 and $250 difference. The question is, does the Taurus provide you with enough value to purchase it over the Sig? Because everybody loves the Sig, but is it worth the price difference? Remember, you got the whole rear sight difference between the two. You get 3 magazines versus 2. What are you going to do? Also consider that if you do have to use this in a self-defense situation, you're going to kiss this goodbye. There goes your Sig. So you might want to think about purchasing the Taurus. But guys, I'll leave that up to you. I hope I gave you enough information to make a better buying decision. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.